And from inside the White House, we have a special guest. Joining us now, the 46th President of the United States and presumptive Democratic nominee Joe Biden calling in to Morning.
Yeah, dude. 2024 has been, many people are saying this, folks. 2024 has been the year of the Hasanabi vindication, okay? Every single issue that I've covered extensively over the course of the past 10 fucking years, but especially in the past 4 years. Every single one. Vindication.
Joe, right now. Good morning, sir.
Hey, Mika, I'm more than presumptive. I'm going to be the Democratic nominee.
There you go.
Okay, well, Mr. President, that leads to the letter that we just received a few minutes ago. And
Yeah.
I'm curious, there's a part of it where you talk about...
What?
To Morning Joe, right now. Good morning, sir.
Hey, Mika, I'm more than presumptive. I'm going to be the Democratic nominee.
There you go.
Okay, well, Mr. President, that leads to the letter that we...
Oh, no. I'm telling you, dude, Brandon's own team is cooking him, dude. They made him sign up from the bathroom. They did it again. The audio perverts are at it again, dude. They're at it again.
just received a few minutes ago. And I'm curious, there's a part of it where you talk about the fact that you got 14 million votes, 87% of the vote. It was an open process. You only had 3 people running against you. You have 3,900 delegates. And then you ask this question, do we now just say the process didn't matter, that the voters didn't have a say? I'm curious, is that an allusion also to Donald Trump and the fact that Democrats, you believe, may now be doing the same thing that Donald Trump tried to do in 2020, and that is overthrow the popular will of Democratic voters?
Well, look, Joe, let me say it this way. The reason I've been out on the road so much all over the country, and while Trump is riding around in his golf cart, filling out his golf cart before he even hits the ball. But anyway, he hadn't been anywhere in 10 days. I've been all over the country.
Mika, you can't do that. Mika, you can't sit there and try to laugh at what he's saying. It's not. Like, there's dick riding, there's glazing, and then there's what you're trying to do. Okay? It is, you're pre-laughing at a joke that he's trying to fire off in the midst of his attempt. Okay? You can't slobber on it that hard. It starts undermining your mental faculties when you do that. Okay? It's crazy. She's like, ha ha ha, that's so funny, Mr. President. I love the jokes that you're making. This is a Trump calls on a Fox and Friends type interview, 100%. This is literally Sean Hannity. This is like when Sean Hannity directly gives a guac 3000 to fucking Donald Trump. This is unimaginable.
Country, number one. And I've gone over the country for several reasons. One, to make sure my instinct was right about the party still wanting me to be the nominee. And all the data shows that the average Democrat out there who voted, the 14 million of them that voted for me, still want me to be the nominee, number one. Number two, the idea that Donald Trump has gained in any substantial way, has his argument to why he should be president is anywhere convincing than it was 2 weeks or 3 weeks ago. It's just not there. And we're just starting to focus on Trump. And look, I attended services, spoke to over 600 people at Mount Airy Church of God in Christ in Philly. I stopped by campaign field offices with John Fetterman and Madeline Dean, both strongly supporting me. The president and the first lady, we spoke at a campaign ice cream social for APSME, Council 13 in Harrisburg. 40 minutes after we spoke with supporters, stopped by Denim Coffee. I mean, I was with the governor of Pennsylvania, who's still strongly supporting me. I mean, so look, and the fact is that This week, I'm going to be hosting NATO Summit here in D.C., going to hold a press conference on Thursday. On Wednesday, I met with the National Union leaders of the AFL-CIO. On Friday, I traveled to Detroit, Michigan for a campaign event. Just on down the line. And so I'm not getting any of what I was told. I wanted to make sure I was right, that the average voter out there still wanted Joe Biden. And I'm confident they do. And I'm confident, and like I said, the press is with me. I think they've been fairly fair. I haven't read any reporting they did today. But the fact is that, I think they have to acknowledge we had large crowds, enthusiastic crowds. And, and now they're talking about whether I use a prompter. Well, I did it all extemporaneously. The fact of the matter is, I was using prompters too. I don't get that. But at any rate, the bottom line here is that we're not going anywhere. I am not going anywhere. I wouldn't be running if I didn't absolutely believe that I am the best candidate to beat Donald Trump in 2024. We had a Democratic nominating process where the voters spoke clearly. I won 14 million of those votes, et cetera. So I not only believe that from the beginning, but I wanted to reassert it and demonstrate that it's true. And I'm going to be doing that all through this week and from here on.
So we noted yesterday there was quite a contrast. The people that were supporting you yesterday compared to, say, a lot of the Washington insiders and Hollywood moguls, and go down the list of very powerful people that want you out compared to the support that you had in Pennsylvania yesterday. That said, there are a lot of people of goodwill who love you.
This is, dude, this is so awesome. Dude, this is like the final stage of Trumpism, is that the Hollywood elite are after me. That's awesome. Yeah, dude. The Hollywood elite are after the Democratic Party's president. The incumbent president. The real people on the ground definitely don't think I'm old as shit. It's the Hollywood perverts that are after me. It's the media that's after me. That's great. This is a winning strategy.
Who believe you did a great job in your first term, who are still
the moneyed interests and the corporate cucks are after me, says the guy who literally will go and do closed door meetings exclusively with fucking billionaires. Okay? Billionaires and millionaires. That's awesome. That's great. Yeah, no, totally.
Concerned yesterday, the topic came up of the Stephanopoulos interview, where you were asked the question, how would you feel if Donald Trump beat you? How would you feel after you lost? And you said, well, as long as I did the best I could do, that's the most important thing. That's caused Democrats concern, who believe that losing is not an option. What would you say to those who are concerned by that answer?
It's not an option, and I've not lost. I haven't lost. I beat him last time. I'll beat him this time. And this is a guy who, look, we talk about debates. Look at his performance at debates. He lied over, Trump has 50 lies. Look, this is a guy who says 10% of the universe. I want to get into it. He's just a liar. And he hasn't done a damn thing since the debate. He's been riding around in a golf cart for 10 days. He's down in Mar-a-Lago talking with his wealthy friends. I'm not running because of these guys, Joe. I'm running because, and you know me well enough to know this from the very beginning, I ran because I never bought on to the trickle-down economic theory. I never bought into the notion that we have to walk away from the rest of the world and cave to Putin or anybody else. I've never believed any of that. And I'm confident that's where the American people are. So what I did was I went out and I wanted to make sure that there wasn't any slippage at all. And with the average voter, I don't care what the millionaires think. And by the way, 97% of all the people who contribute to us are people making under 200, contributing under $200. I think we have the largest contingent ever in history. I'm not positive of that, but I think that's true. And so I want their support, but that's not the reason I'm running. I'm not running about what they think and what they care about. And by the way, you don't see...
Yeah, he's a real Bernie Sanders type, dude. A radical revolutionary Marxist. I don't care about what the millionaires think. That's why I keep doing closed door meetings with like millionaires, begging them for money. He sounds like my distant relative who has a history of not paying his debts, begging money from my dad. This is really ridiculous. I love the new method here, which is I'm the real revolutionary Marxist candidate. I don't care about the millionaires and billionaires. Respect. Yeah, that's who this guy is.
A whole hell of a lot of them flocking to Trump. You don't see a whole lot of CEOs flocking to Trump. You don't see any. You see the major economists out there talking about what I have been able to do. I don't hear anybody talking about his economic plan likely to bring America around and keep America first. And by the way, here's Trump talking about all that he's done and you know, Trump and his debate night. He's a pathological liar. He lied about Roe. He refused to accept the outcome of the election. He refused to condemn January 6th. And
look at their faces. Look at their faces as he's like trying to put together some semblance of a narrative, and they're just trying to follow what he's saying. That's crazy. Why wasn't this appearance televised? Why was it on the phone? What's your argument with the closed door meetings? That's just false comparison fallacy. Talk about the difference between the two candidates' policies instead. What? We're currently talking about Brandon versus like anybody else. Oh, yeah. Why would I? What other candidate could I be talking about? This is so fucking stupid. Like when we're talking about, I'm talking about Brandon because we're talking about Joseph Robinette Brandon not being the best possible candidate. Obviously, there are many differences. Well, not many, but there's still some differences between Joseph Robinette Brandon or the Democratic Party's platform overall and the Trump administration or the Trump part, the Republican Party led by Donald Trump. But this is an idiotic conversation to have currently because this conversation is not about Trump versus Biden. This conversation is about Trump versus the best possible candidate that the Democratic Party can put forward. That's all you talk about and avoid Trump? I famously avoid talking about Donald Trump. You're right. I suspect that this is the top of the hour ad break debate coming, right? Like all I talk about is top of the hour ad break debates. Because at the top of the hour, there's a 3-minute ad break. And if you no longer want to see those ads, all you need to do is subscribe. That's all I'm saying. Please tell me that this person is not unironically a schizophrenic person hallucinating that I never criticized Donald Trump or something. What is happening, dude? I said I wanted hogs. I didn't mean I want Blue Anon, Blue MAGA Brandon supporters that are akin to Donald Trump. When I said I want hogs, I want Trump hogs so I can make fun of them. Not the Democratic Party's own version of the same fucking hogs. It's literally the same shit except they're gay, okay? Like, either I want hogs. I don't want like the gay version of the same type of hog, but for Brandon, okay? What the fuck? Oh my God, he wasn't even doing a bait. He literally is just unironically saying that I don't talk about Trump. Chatter. Do you want to know why I'm mad? Because you've been following me since the year 2021, December of 2021. I cannot, in good conscience, assume that someone who is at least like off and on followed me for the past 3 years to be this unimaginably stupid. Ad rip? Okay, dude. Oh, it's because I ran the ad. That's not even an ad break debate. He just is watching the ad right now. That's not a bait. This person is unironically this stupid, I think.
He says, they claim he spoke with Putin before he invaded. What the hell are we doing, Joe? What are we doing? This is bizarre.
Yeah.
It's a good question. I have a few questions, Mr. President, and I know you know where I stand. And yet I have a few questions. First, it's very simple. How can you assure the American people that you won't have another night like the one you did in Atlanta?
Look at my career. I've not had many of those nights. It was a terrible night, and I really regret it happened. But the fact of the matter is, how can you assure you're going to be on faith that can intervene on your way to go to, work tomorrow? Age wasn't, the idea I'm too old. Created over 15 million jobs, 21 million insured for the ACA, beat Big Pharma, relieved student debts for 5 million people, first black woman in the court. So I think I had a significant run, and that's how I'd measure me. Measure me what I've done. And by the way, in terms of my neurological capacity, I had a neurological physical as well in February. It's released. I released all my records, all of them. And I have a neurological test every single day. Try sitting behind this desk and making these decisions. You know it. Both of you know it. They know it. I'm not bad at what I do. And now, it doesn't mean I never make a mistake. I do. But I'm making those decisions.
Mr. President, if anybody in my family had a night like that, like if my Joe had a night like that, or my kids or anybody, I'd probably want to do some sort of workup and medical workup and make sure he's okay. Have you been tested for any age-related illnesses, pre-Parkinson's, or anything like that that might explain sort of having a night like that where you couldn't finish sentences?
Look, I was feeling so badly before the debate. When I came back, they tested me for, I thought maybe I had COVID, maybe there was something wrong, I had an infection or something. They tested me, they gave me those tests, I was clear. So, but...
Bro, she said, if my son performed that poorly, I would immediately call the head doctor. Kaya. No. That's crazy.
Look, I had a bad night, but the fact of the matter is, look at what I'm doing. I mean, let me put it this way. If there was something that was wrong that night, it's not like it comes and that's one night and it goes away. That's why I've been out. I've been testing myself, been testing everywhere I go, going out and making the case.
We are watching an old man negotiate why he still has the capacity to drive. It's crazy. Like this is like stages of grief. It's crazy. Oh, I'm just testing myself when I go out. Every day. That's crazy. Yeah, except he's not driving a car. He's driving a fucking nuclear submarine. You're right, Chatter. Sorry, I got the hiccups from the one spicy pepper I had.
The night of that debate, I went out. I was out till 2 o'clock in the morning. That very night, it drives me nuts, people talking about this. That very night, I'm talking to large crowds. Look at the crowds we've gathered everywhere from Atlanta to North Carolina to Pennsylvania, and look at the enthusiasm. But it was right after. And where the hell's Trump been? What has...
Yeah, Trump is obviously not saying anything because you're already fucking up the bag. It's literally the best possible thing he could do. The best possible thing Trump could do right now is to stay the fuck out of the media spotlight. Why disturb your opponents when they're making a ginormous mistake? Never interrupt your enemy when they are making a mistake. He quite literally is not doing anything on purpose because you're already fucking it up. If he was running around constantly fucking chirping, the media would be up his asshole. And the narrative would shift away from Brandon's age and mental faculties to Donald Trump being a fucking fascist. Which he is, by the way. I mean, he is. Dude, I can't believe there's still people fucking who think that I'm like secretly in the pocket for Trump, and that's why I'm like talking about Joe Biden's mental faculties as I have been for the past like 4 years now. Openly stating that we needed someone in 2020. You are, lol. Yeah, no, totally. I'm a secret Trump supporter. Well, not a secret Trump supporter, openly a Trump supporter. RNC, please, if you're watching, give me fucking access to the RNC. I love Donald Trump. I'm a red-blooded, passionate American who loves defending the Constitution. This you? Yeah. When your talking points line up with the MSM, then it's too real for some chatters. No, that's what's crazy about this fucking narrative. Is that like saying I'm a Trump supporter when mainstream media's narratives do not align with mine is one thing. But like you're making it seem like Adam Schiff is a fucking Trump supporter, dude. You're making it seem like Nadler, a 900-year-old Democratic representative from fucking New York, is a Trump supporter. Like, you're out of your fucking mind. Mark Warner is a Trump supporter, is not going to, you know, is not exactly the best possible way that you can move on with this. And the worst part is, and I keep warning people, more Democrats are going to keep coming out. And I guess you'll keep moving the fucking needle until Joe Biden drops out. And then Joe Biden is a Trump supporter. It's so fucking stupid.
Trump said or done, except deny and lie about what he's for.
Okay, so you have repeatedly said that all of these people and entities are wrong. And let me go through them. The New York Times editorial board, The Economist, the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, the Boston Globe, Jerry Nadler, Seth Moulton. Let me go to Julian Castro.
Trump supporters, all of them. Classic.
Tim Ryan, David Axelrod, David Remnick, Richard Haas. Yeah, I know which one you're
me.
responding to there. Zeke Emanuel. But they are saying that you should step aside. So what is your plan of attack moving forward?
My
These are
plan
pretty
of
big
attack is
names.
to go out and keep doing. They're big names, but I don't care what those big names think. They were wrong in 2020. They're wrong in 2022 about the red wave. They're wrong.
I'm about to say ableist slurs. Can you unequivocally promise that you won't vote for Trump? What a fucking idiotic statement. What an unimaginably stupid, like asinine, ridiculous, like, oh, we got him. Hey, dumbass, listen to my fucking commentary. Are you stupid? How many times have I fucking said, you should never, I'm spitting, that's how fucking angry I am. You should never, ever in a million years vote for Donald Trump. Who the fuck do you think you are? Oh, can you promise unequivocally that you won't vote for Trump? As though like there's a hidden premise there that is like, I'm secretly in the pocket and it's going to be too hard for me to say. How do you have the gall, the audacity? Where the fuck have you been? Like, where are we coming from? These fucking new, like, oh, I started paying attention to politics for the past 4 years ass dumbasses coming in here being like, I guess it was a bad joke. I thought you were being fucking serious. It is a bad joke.
Wrong in 2024, and come out with me. Watch people react. You make a judgment. You make a judgment. Mm-hmm. And by the way, I'm going to have all these foreign leaders here. I've been in contact with the new British Prime Minister. Anyway, look, the country, the rest of the world is looking. Our allies are looking for U.S. leadership. Who else do you think could step in here and do this? I expanded NATO. I solidified NATO. Ask your brother about it in Poland. I made sure that we're in a position where we have a coalition of people, of the nations around the world to deal with China, with Russia, with everything that's going on in the world. We're making real progress. The Biden plan, which got in Israel for the Gaza Strip, is something that was adopted by the UN Security Council. Whether it comes to fruition, it's awful close. We'll see. G7's okay. But look, I'm not going to explain any more about what I should or shouldn't do. I am running. Mm-hmm. And if you want to stop
I wanted to ask you, it's so interesting. You talked about how, you were supposed to lose in 2020. You won. There's supposed to be a huge wave in 2022. There wasn't. In 2023, Republicans were supposed to win. They didn't. You could say the same thing about France. Le Pen was supposed to win in 2 years ago. She ended up getting crushed. Her party, her far-right nationalist extreme party, was supposed to win yesterday. They ended up getting crushed. I'm curious, what message do you take from?
That's a really interesting take because, like, I guess he's going to advocate for Bernie Sanders, for Joe Biden to drop out and make way for, like, a young, dynamic leftist. Not Bernie Sanders, but somebody else, I guess. Is that what we're doing? To change the dynamic dramatically and make it similar to the victory of the far left in France? I love the idea that Biden is the candidate for the everyman, right? Like, he's presenting himself as the guy who is not running for Wall Street, but for regular old Joes, not running for the millionaires that want him out, but for the everyday Americans that attend his rallies. And then when he wants to show his work, he turns around and says, I expanded NATO. Brother, there is no more I'm just running to get the Raytheon vote ass take than I expanded NATO. What fucking American living in the rural ass Alabama area or Pennsylvania is going, you know, I was really concerned with Joe Biden's age. But then I thought about how he expanded NATO, how Sweden and Finland joined NATO. And I thought to myself, I don't really care that things are unaffordable. I don't really care about abortion. I don't really care about any of those things. Thank God he brought up Sweden and Finland joining the ranks of NATO, because that's what I care about.
From the French elections and the British elections, because we keep hearing about the rise of far-right nationalist extremism in Europe. But I've got to say, it looks like this past week has been the worst week for far-right nationalists between Britain and France.
No, it hasn't. They have grown. They have become significantly larger and more powerful than they have been historically since the rise of Nazi Germany. The notion that the far right is not growing in prominence and that there is a lot of momentum behind them is fucking silly. You do not know anything. Why the fuck are you doing commentary? It's so stupid. He's like, oh yeah, it seems like they're fucking losing big time. It's like, you're a dumbass, dude. You're an absolute fucking dumbass. They went from nothing to the second largest party, second or third largest party. They went from nothing to being, in France, the single largest party. 10 million people voted. 10 million people voted for the Nationalist Party. The other parties had to form coalitions.
Wondering what you say about that and what message you take to NATO allies this week.
Look, Joe, let's get something clear about 20 and 24. Not only were they wrong, I said they were wrong beforehand. I said we were going to win and how we're going to win. I didn't pretend about it. It wasn't like, oh, my God, I was surprised. I was not surprised. I predicted it. I knew what we were doing, number one. Number two, you may remember, I was one of the few people out there publicly saying before the 2022 election, there will be no red wave. There will be no red wave. Because I've been all over the country. I didn't believe it at all. And then in 2023, the key elections, I went into those races. Not every one of them, but a lot of them. And I said we were going to win. Look, we won those. So, Joe, it wasn't just that it didn't happen. I was predicting beforehand it would not happen. Because I've got a pretty good political instinct and eye. And here's the deal. It's not going to happen here this time around. The American public is not going to move away from me as an average voter. And again, I'm here for two reasons.
The craziest part about this is that as far as the chances of whoever the Democratic candidate is defeating Donald Trump, those chances are only cooked by Joe Biden being at the top of the ticket. But even with Joe Biden being at the top of the ticket, there's still a very decent likelihood that the Democratic Party might win. The issue here is that Biden's not entirely incorrect when he says, like, oh, no, people are actually undermining me, let's say, not him, but the Democratic Party and their performance come November. And what is really frustrating about this is that it is not even supposed to be contentious. It is not even supposed to be close. It's pure selfishness that is keeping him in the race. That's it. Because at the end of the day, he might still, if he just stayed and didn't die, right? And in November, come November, he might fucking actually win, right? It seems less likely by the day, but it could still happen. And then he goes, oh, I told you. It's like, dude, the Democratic Party won in spite of you. Okay? At that point, the Democratic Party won in spite of you, not because of you. And the midterms are another great example of this. The Democratic Party actually was able to withstand the supposed red wave, not because of you. It was because of the Republican Party's ineptitude and overall genuinely gross and violent policymaking that caused Americans to react in disgust. It's so ridiculous for him to bring up the midterms. Like, this is revisionism. He is trying to revise history and claim like, oh yeah, no, it's not the abortion. It's not the abortion decision that caused so many people to revile, to feel gross about the Republican Party. It's actually because they loved him. They love Joe Biden. That's why they were like, oh, we are such big fans of you. That's why we're voting for tickets that you're not even on.
Pal, one, to rebuild the economy for hardworking middle-class people, give everybody a shot. Just a straight shot. Everybody gets a fair chance, number one. Number two, remember all this talk about how I don't have the black support? Come on, give me a break. Come with me. Watch. I'm getting so frustrated by the elites. Now, I'm not talking about you guys, but about the elites in the party who they know so much more. But if any of these guys don't think I should run against me, go ahead, announce for president. Challenge me into...
What? Oh, my God. Oh, my God. He's going crazy.
Convention. You know, on Europe, the poll...
Bro, when he said, I'm going to unleash Dark Brandon, I didn't realize he's just going to pull a Trump. Guys, I need you to understand something very important. One of the major reasons why Joe Biden won in 2020 is that he wasn't Donald Trump. One of the major reasons why Joe Biden won in 2020 was that he was not the crazy, narcissistic, self-entitled, self-interested, arrogant, selfish man. This will cost him the election if he keeps on with this way of Trump style, everyone who opposes me is fake and a dino. This kind of attitude is literally a carbon copy of Donald Trump. The Democratic Party and independents voted for him and are potentially looking to vote for him again, those who want to vote for him again, specifically because he is an elderly statesman who knows how to wheel and deal, who knows how to make legislation happen, who is a competent administrator. When you turn around and show that you are actually closer to Trump than you have led on, a lot of those independents are going to run away from you. Maybe even go so far as to say, well, he's just as incompetent and just as selfish and just as narcissistic as Donald Trump is, it seems. This is not the elderly statesman that I wanted to vote for with a competent administration. This is a man who's backed into a corner and his true colors are coming out. And guess what? They are literally, those colors are literally identical to Donald Trump in many meaningful ways. Ways that these suburban white voters care about. Remember, this guy in his reelection has basically triangulated his entire campaign messaging towards the MSNBC, CNN, and maybe even sometimes Fox News watchers that are living in the suburbs. Okay? One of the major differences between him and Donald Trump is supposed to be that he is a competent elder statesman. Not an elderly statesman. I said that wrong first. If he starts showing that he is actually very similar to Trump in his narcissism and his selfishness and his arrogance, they're not going to vote for him. It's crazy. I suspect this kind of behavior of constantly fucking chirping, constantly fucking complaining about like fake Democrats, run against me if you can. Like that kind of attitude is probably going to cause him to lose more support in the polls. Okay? Because some of the work that they've carefully conducted, a lot of the messaging, the right-wing heel turn towards white nativist immigration policies, and the narrative that is supposed to be appealing, the saving democracy angle. All of those angles are designed specifically to win over the suburban voters who are otherwise conservative, college educated, and relatively wealthy. This is really fucking bad because you are going to lose those guys that you cast aside the rest of the fucking constituencies for. The Chuck Schumer strategy of every vote that we win, for every blue collar voter that we lose, we win 2 in the suburbs, 2 white collar voters in the suburbs. That has been the Democratic Party's strategy. This goes against that strategy. Now, you've already cast aside the Hispanic voting bloc, the young voting bloc, POC in general. You've already cast them aside. You are relying on personally the stronghold of the Democratic Party, okay? Black voters, and saying no, black voters love me. That's it. Okay? You're relying on them while simultaneously trying to win in the suburbs. Now, you're casting aside the suburb voters too. This is really fucking stupid.
Polls are wrong in France. They're also right. There's no right wave or tide here in America either. By the way, in case you're wondering whether there is one, have you ever seen Trump run away so fast from what he's for? You know he's going to do it anyway. But he's such a liar. This guy everybody knows what they're planning to do. And now he's saying, no. This guy is going to rip away at a woman's right to choose in a permanent way. This guy is going to make sure that he exacts revenge. This guy's going to destroy democracy. This guy's going to give a blank check to the Supreme Court and he's going to use it to pass the 2025 agenda. This guy's extremely dangerous. But you notice he doesn't speak up for what he really is for. He's all of a sudden realizing, oh my God, nobody's for what I'm for. But anyway, look, and again, think of the things he lied about. He talked about he gave the largest tax cut in history. Yeah, he gave the largest tax cut in history to millionaires and billionaires. So he said that he's going to, those 10% universal tax proposal is not going to drive prices higher. Every major economist in the world is saying it's going to drive the average $2,500 per person. Only jobs we created for illegal immigrants and bounce back jobs and bounce back from COVID. Give me a break. That's what he said at the convention. At the debate. Everything he said, he largely fixed COVID.
Okay, the bounce back COVID thing is true though. He's not even lying about that. Like, what the fuck? That's literally correct. What are we talking about? Like the real problem is that the real problem is like when he fucking lies about everything else. Like that's the one area where he's correct. I feel like I'm on the phone with my grandpa. Yeah, maybe this is a phenomenal way to win over people who love talking to their grandpa on the phone. Like people, there's a lot of, many Americans are saying that they love talking to their grandparents on the phone. And they want to live that. They want to relive that. Maybe they miss their grandparents, you know what I mean? This way you get to feel like, Joe Brandon is everybody's grandpa. That's part of it. Hold on. This is really bad.
You kidding me? And what happened? Nobody said anything. Nobody said anything except me and the folks out there in the local, race. He said, I did nothing to stop Russia's invasion of Ukraine. In fact, he said, I think I encouraged Russia from going, I think he encouraged Russia going in. I mean, I'm reading from the list of lies. First of all, he was made up quote, sucker.
Oh no. You can hear the fucking papers. He's like, I'm reading. He's not even doing a good job reading the fucking list of lies. This is so bad.
And losers. I was with it. He called the Americans in the cemeteries from World War I suckers and losers. And so this guy's going to have to start to answer for what he did. I'm not letting up, Joe. I am not letting up a little bit. And by the way, France registered, look, you talk about Europe. France rejected extremism. Democrats will reject it here as well. Trump, and this is a guy who is an extreme candidate. I can't think of a candidate in my lifetime that's been more extreme. He makes George Wallace look like a patriot.
President Joe Biden, let's make this a thing. Thank you for calling in. We really appreciate it. And thank you for answering our questions.
If you're willing to hear from me, I'm willing to talk to you. Thank you very much.
We will take it on a regular basis.
All right. Thank you, Mr. President. Greatly appreciated.
President Joe Biden.
Hey there, MSNBC.
Dude, that was so bad. Podjon had a similar take on Biden's call. Biden on Morning Show. Energy's great. Sounds strong. Love that part. Message about absolutely sucks. Angry, defensive, lashing out all the wrong people. Just please talk about voter concerns. That's how you address them, and Trump will make them worse. That's all. You guys took 2 weeks of pot shots at him. I think he's earned it. Yeah, blow off some